of a wrong decision. We are not asking you to understand anybody's hatred or prejudice. We are trying to show you how Israelis in this situation could make the decisions they do pragmatically. An Israeli does not have to believe in a greater Israel or support the settlements to conclude that they need to occupy the West Bank and build a wall. The average Israeli only needs to desire peace and security for their country and to look at the facts. Some people claim that hostility towards Israel would end if they left the West Bank. That's easy to say if you don't have to live with the consequences of being wrong. The Israeli army and settlements are out of Gaza, and the town nearest there, Sderot, is almost uninhabitable. What evidence is there a withdrawal would lead to peace? What evidence is there that it would only make Israel more vulnerable? If Israel left the West Bank, they would be facing an enemy that could invite other, more powerful armies in, get aid from other hostile governments, or simply subject all of Israel's population to the kind of rocket attacks made by Hezbollah and Hamas. The withdrawals from Gaza and southern Lebanon were supposed to lessen tensions and create some goodwill, but they only emboldened the radicals who are dedicated to destroying the country. There have always been large portions of the Palestinian population committed to destroying Israel, and there has never been a majority committed to stopping those who wish to destroy Israel. The so-called right of return has always been a fundamental goal of all Palestinian movements. Such a demand is simply another way of demanding the end of Israel. Given the long history of unremitting hostility, no responsible Israeli government will allow the Palestinians to be further empowered without a clear and unambiguous commitment to living in peace with Israel permanently. We are crossing over the main highway in the country. Almost all major transportation goes along it. It is a critical part of the life of Israel, and not very far from hostile territory. When I committed to crossing the country in 15 minutes, I did not take into account having to deal with drivers like the one in front of us. Because Israel is so narrow at this point, this road was a common route for suicide bombers before the wall was built. Netanya was hit by numerous suicide bombs in 2001 and 2002. Although the Green Line was defined in 1949, no wall was built till 2003. There was an immediate drop in terrorist attacks. There has not been a bombing here since 2005. By the way, there is a reason for all the Israeli flags and blue and white bunting. Israel celebrated its 59th Independence Day 2 weeks before. Many of the decorations were still up. Although most Israelis despise their current leadership, they are deeply loyal to the country. The worst terrorist attack in Israeli history occurred not far from here. On March 27, 2002, a suicide bomber entered the Park Hotel while a Passover Seder was being held for elderly people without families. 30 people were killed, mostly elderly, some were Holocaust survivors. It is Friday at about 4:15. Stores are closing and people are preparing for the Sabbath. This video was made about a year ago. Israel has just celebrated its 60th birthday. For 60 years, Israel has survived cheek by jowl with those who want to destroy it. This has not been easy. Only through great effort has this narrow strip of land been able to survive, and not incidentally thrive. At this point, I'm getting frantic. We wanted to show you that you can drive across Israel in 15 minutes, and that is now clearly impossible. Before the wall was built, people in the city lived in fear of suicide bombers. At the moment, the biggest threat to Israelis in Netanya is my driving. The end of the road. We are probably no more than a couple of 100 meters from the western edge of Israel right now. You might be able to see it at the other end of this pedestrian zone. But we promised you the sea, and we won't stop until you have seen in real time the entire breadth of the country. As noted before, none of us have ever been here, so we really are just wandering around looking for the beach. We apologize for the inconvenience. Please bear with us as we look for the Mediterranean. Your patience is appreciated. And there it is, the Mediterranean Sea, the western edge of Israel. At least I can see it from the car. It's hard to say what the camera saw. 17 minutes from the eastern border. Not exactly Lewis and Clark, but we're proud of it anyway. I know you cannot really tell from this video. However, we promised you the sea, and we will continue until we show you the water. Remember, that's 17 minutes, 10 miles, across an entire country. Most people could bicycle this distance in 1 hour. An average healthy person could walk it in an afternoon. The U.S. Census Bureau estimates the average commuting time for an American worker to be 24.4 minutes. It takes less time to travel across Israel than it takes the average American commuter to get to work. And on the other end are armed groups and nations hostile to your very existence. At this point, we could not go any further by car. Judith exited the mothership and continued her search for the ocean on foot. It took a little looking, but she eventually found it. Here it is, the far end of Israel.